Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how I painted Frodo, a miniature from the classic metal set of the Fellowship of the Ring. It's going to be quite a challenge because, as you can see, it's a really small miniature. I started the project with a coat of black primer and a white zenithal spray. This will give us a good base coat and a clear idea of the model volumes and highlights. To paint this miniature, I will be creating my own color mixes, using primary colors and some complementary tones as a little help. As you can see, in the first phase I am using a synthetic brush. The idea here is to give a general coat of paint to the entire miniature. I will do this to understand how the colors fit together. At this point there is no need to be delicate or clean with the paint job. Refinement will come when we paint each material individually. With so many brown elements in the miniature, one main concern is to avoid making them look like the same material. To differentiate them, we will play with variations in tone, intensity and luminosity. I start painting the waistcoat in an orange-brown color. I add highlights to define volumes until I am satisfied. Bear in mind that if we lose intensity when highlighting, we can always bring it back with an intense wash. As for the coat, it has some warm reddish tones. After defining the edges and main volumes, we refine the material again with a dark reddish wash. This will give it some much needed depth. When painting the pants, we start with the same base as the waistcoat, but then I add blue and white to the mix. This will allow us to separate the pieces visually, creating a less saturated and more neutral brown. Always respecting the folds and volumes of the sculpture when applying the brushstrokes. Moving on to the green cloak, the strategy changes. I add a darker tone to the folds in the cloak. This helps us to appreciate the volumes much better. I am not looking for a vibrant green, so I will add complementary colors to the mix to tone down the intensity. My intention is to make it look interesting without taking the visual interest from the rest of the character. Now it's time to work on the skin and the eyes. I start with a general coat to get the base tone of the skin. After that, it will be the ideal moment to start painting the eyes, as any mistakes are easy to correct in this step. As this is an all miniature, I use a black base to define the shape of the eye, and then apply a dot of white on top. Painting eyes at this scale is an exercise in patience. Once the eyes are finished, we return to the skin color variations. On such a small figure, tonal variation will help a lot. I will give the skin a mix of red and magenta that serve as a background for the final layer of highlights, creating a more vivid skin tone. For the hair, the process was simple: a blue-black wash and some highlights to simulate the shine. With the skin and hair finished, we focus on the chain of the One Ring. I opted for the non-metallic metal technique, although it would work just as well with metallic paints. The important thing here is to remark the shine so it stands out. Now we get to one of my favorite parts, the sword. I wanted to paint it with the blue shining effect. To achieve this, I use a blue neon color and white, seeking smooth transitions and clear sharp edges. I always try to remember this golden rule. For there to be a good light effect, there must be a good shadow. The finishing touch will be provided by the characteristic engraving of the sword. Finally, we have the backpack. Painted in a simple style, I create leather with oranges and whites, adding some texture before the final wash and details. To finish off the project, I decorate the base with different kinds of vegetation to create a forest-like environment. And this is the final result, Frodo in all his glory. I hope you enjoyed this little project. If so, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.